Tuve una caída en mi carrera, pero he vuelto más fuerte que nunca.
Ojo con Supa, va a reventar a Marlon. Se atreve ahora con el 1 contra Flakked. No debería de ganar el tetón.
J'ai progressé une étape à la fois jusqu'à arriver au sommet.
Il y a maintenant qui est dans la mêlée. Et la côte de Roguette, elle est magnifique du côté d'ADC.
Ich weiß, ich kann der Beste sein. Jetzt muss ich es nur allen zeigen.
Für ihn wird sogar noch mehr ein Schwimmbild für ihn. Der Quadra-Kill für Kinui.
선택할 수 있는 길이 많았습니다. 저는 지금 걷고 있는 길이 옳다고 확신합니다.
No akcje tutaj na gotowe, nie odbierajmy. Pentakill jak najbardziej zasłużony.
Orada 0'ı bir değişim. Ayakta kalan son isim Erramir.
uzun zamandır bekliyordum. Şimdi benim zamanım.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the EMEA Masters. My name is Hitbrain, and I am joined by the ever wonderful Trouble. It's been a hot minute since we've been on camera together, Trouble. How you doing? You all right?
What? Did you count it down to something like 9 months since we cast together last?
Around that, yeah. It's been a hot minute.
Oh, God.
It's been
I'm
a
so
hot minute since
excited,
we've
you
been on
know.
together.
New name, same old faces, new faces coming in, EMEA Masters. We've got 2 new regions joining us as well. I'm so excited to see like all the new faces, all the new teams. When I was doing a little bit of the research and I looked kind of at the teams, I was like, wow, there's a lot of names that I do not recognize. And I'm sure the viewers don't recognize either, so I cannot wait to tell the stories.
I think that's the thing I'm most excited about this whole tournament in general is all the new faces, the new teams, the new regions, just the size of it all. Because I mean, if you look at today's play, like of the teams playing today, there was a lot of teams playing. We can't even get it all in on the whole day. Like there's going to be some shows that you'll have to kind of catch elsewhere. But you can see our groups and see where all of the teams are falling. I'm just going to quickly throw this over to you, Trouble. Obviously, we now had the group draw show not that long ago, but what teams are we excited about? Are there any teams in here that like really jump out to you as someone you should keep your eye on?
Oh, definitely. Reigning champions, Heretics coming back. Group A, kind of like the group of death, in my opinion. Lots of promise from Z10. GK smashed the region as well. TCL now at EMEA Masters 2 with Wildcats. We've gone to MSI and Worlds. I think Group A is going to be definitely a standout. And stay tuned because we're having most of that today. We're lucky with that. But I'm trying to honestly figure out what the group of death is currently, and I'm feeling a Group A, Group D vibes coming as the groups of death.
That's interesting because I also look at Group C, go, oh, there's some scary stuff over there. You obviously got the second place team from the Polish league, from the Ultraliga in OAE. You got LDLC, obviously just. If you've watched formerly EU Masters and now EMEA, if you followed this region and this tournament for a long time, you'll know the name LDLC. They're a name that I think I've said more than any other team name in my life. They're just a team that you've always been someone to kind of keep your eyes on. But I do think Group D is actually kind of low-key quite scary as well. You're looking at obviously the only NLC team that will be performing on the whole tournament now as Vern were knocked out, but you've got, who was formerly Johan, now actually being Winter 7, a former LCK jungler showing up in this tournament. So he's going to be super scary. But we do have today's schedule. We'll have 6 games coming up for you today. We've got Heretics versus Tenacity as our first game. GK Esports versus the Wildcats as our second game. Then Team Go versus Anopsis Famagusta. SK Prime versus Riddle. Anopsis Famagusta again will be playing versus SK Prime. And then Heretics versus the Wildcats as our final game of the day. Trouble, are there any games here that like you're quite excited for?
You know what, Hitbrain? First of all, I want to give you a big round of applause because I thought you were going to be naming all of these teams on their abbreviations. the names were right underneath, so they instantly saved you. I'd have to say, honestly, the first game that we're opening up with, Tenacity versus Heretics, I think it's going to be a huge one because looking down the bot lane, I've heard the best about Tenacity's AD carry. Noah, Korean player coming in, playing all these ultra scaling AD carries. Some people say he's maybe the best AD carry in the league, but also Flakked is coming from an LEC background. So yeah, there it is, the lineup from Zero Tenacity, Color in the top lane, Ryuzaki in the jungle, SlowQ, which is a very familiar face to us, Heatbrain coming from the NLC into the Ultra Liga, Noah Bot and Kabbie as the support as well. So the trio Korean towards the bot side of the map and mid lane has showed tremendous results for Zero Tenacity, and a lot of people say that it could actually be Ultra Liga rising back up to the top of this particular team.
It really could be. That is a very stat roster. Team Heretics on the other side, currently the defending champions of the tournament, former from the previous name. Not much has changed for the side of Team Heretics. The only real name that will be different there is Marlon, their new support. There have been some questions about them, and we do kind of have to keep in mind they did get 0-3. They lost 0. They lost 3-0. And it was the fastest finals they've ever had over in Spain. So while they are the reigning champions and they have kept much of the same, and they're definitely a force to be reckoned with, they are coming fresh off a pretty tough loss. So I'm curious to see what they've worked on over the kind of, couple of weeks they've had to get into the tournament. What they've actually improved on coming into this first game, because this is a hard game to open on as well. You've come out of a finals where you got 3-0'd in mega quick time, and then you got to go versus Zero Tenacity, who, on paper, look like a very scary team. I think Noah has been the talk of the town for a while. He is a solo queue god. At one point, he was first in the region. I believe when we checked earlier, he was sick for trouble.
Today, he's 6th in the ladder. He's dropped 2 spots, but maybe he's just screaming,
okay,
because EMEA Masters is right around the corner, so we'll cut him some slack. But yeah, he has been multiple times at the top of the ladder. He's gotten that rank 1. He's currently number 6 in the ladder today. But what I want to say is that the top side of the map for Heretics has been kept the exact same. The bot lane has changed. Jack Spectre is no longer there. Flakked is there. Flakked, who has a lot of experience from LEC, playing for one of the best organizations in the LEC G2 as well. Now coming back to Heretics, the reigning champions of EMEA Masters. But the fact that the tops of the map has remained the same for Heretics is very important. Last year, it was a very top-centric meta. Currently, it's a very bot-centric meta, especially towards the early start of 2023. It was very heavily towards that bot side of the map. Now it's a lot about jungle support mid synergy. But the fact that the bot lane has changed and it's a little bit more focused towards the bot side of the map, and Zero Tenacity are famed for the bot lane as well, I think we're going to see maybe some bot diffy kind of style coming into this first one.
And it's typically what we see from these guys as well, because Zero Tenacity, they kind of just put Color on the weak side and leave him on his lonesome just to kind of chill up there. And you see Ryuzaki play towards Noah and Kabbie in the bot lane and try to enable that team. In fact, while Noah kind of plays what you'd expect from a lot of these kind of carry-orientated AD carries and these carry-orientated bot laners, they typically play the scaling champions.
It's an AD carry.
They play. I'll go on to that point in a separate good discussion. But they play this kind of scaling bot lane where Ryuzaki then plays as like a kind of a fuse, something that ignites the tempo and actually looks to control the early into the mid game for them, and then it sets Noah up for success. I mean, me and you've covered SlowQ. He's a very malleable mid laner in the sense where like he can kind of fill whatever role he needs to, but we do know he does have a few fun champions up his sleeve, the kind of the Aurelias, the Akalis. Whether or not he pulls that out in the first game, I don't know. I maybe just see him look to try and play for that jungle mid duo and then kind of move that pressure and that power into Noah's hands where they know he's very capable of carrying into the late game. I guess time will tell. Once we get into the champs select, we will have a good idea of what this is going to look like. I'm going to be curious what where the bans really go as well, and who they try to kind of look to ban out, knowing that Color plays weak side. Maybe they look to try and ban away things where they can camp him, or maybe they just look towards the bot side.
I think this is the most interesting part where it comes to EMEA Masters and ERLs, and when it comes to players that have a lot more niche picks, right? Because when you look at the big regions, the players pretty much play everything and anything that is meta because that's what's best at that time. But with ERLs, niche picks come in. Picks like Fiora and Camille become a problem in the top lane, and they have to be implemented potentially in the first rotation of bans. But currently, when we're talking about the bot lane and how Noah has been extremely dominant towards the bot side of the map, I'm expecting things like the Xayah, the Zeri, the Aphelios, maybe Caitlyn's and Lucian's even getting out of the picture. Lucian, not so much. It's fallen off. It's very favored over in the LEC and the Western regions, but over in the Eastern regions, it's not that much of a priority anymore. But again, scaling picks like Zeri and Aphelios and Jinx, I'm expecting to see some of them taken out of the picture. And I think one of the biggest takeaways to go into the draft is the Xayah. Where does it land? Because she's such a good neutralizing champion, especially when you look at the jungle. Usually when you're playing towards the bot lane, your jungler needs to have some sort of getaway to go into the backline to get you onto that AD carry. Xayah nullifies pretty much every single engage, whether it's a Vi ult following her, whether it's a Nautilus ult following her. That ultimate is just such a crucial weapon that allows her to be one of the safest AD carries currently in the bot lane that has also massive pushing potential with the feathers.
Yeah, I think it's the safety mix of actually the damage on Xayah when you've got the Navari build where you get a lot of extra cooldown, you get obviously the extra bonus damage off the base of that as well. It's very hard to punish onto that Xayah, and that's why we've seen such a kind of spike in attention on that. I feel like we're gonna do all this talk about Xayah and she's just gonna be first banned, or she's gonna get banned pretty early and we're not actually gonna see it in this first game. I feel like giving a champion who is very, very potent right now in the meta, and then over to the likes of maybe someone like Noah, you're just kind of sowing your own destruction off the back of that. I do kind of want to just keep on bot lane for just a little bit longer before we kind of expand outwards and look at the other laners in this game, because there were questions raised about the new support for Heretics. I don't want to completely write them off, but we do have to kind of talk about the fact that some people have considered them to maybe be a little bit of a weak spot for this team right now. Obviously, they still came second in their region, which is an achievement in its own right. But when you've played it as a team for a while, you've won what was previously E Masters, and then you come back into this season and you pick up a new support. But there have been questions about Marlon. Some have been around their champ pool, although when we looked at their champ pool, it is fairly varied and fairly wide. But I guess having a wide champ pool doesn't mean it's always a capable champ pool. So maybe it could be along those lines. I'm going to be curious to kind of track how Marlon's going to be playing in this game, because I feel like the rest of Heretics, they kind of had a working formula. They've got this new support, and now they've got to go up against, one of the most talked about bot lanes in the whole tournament on the first day. That's a real limit test. It's probably the best way to word it. It's just a fairly large limit test.
One of the best bots in the tournament. I've talked to a bunch of ERL casters. Much love to you guys for sharing your knowledge with me. And I think there's a lot of hopium, like when I was back in the NLC, I was like, yeah, this is our time. This is our chance. The NLC is going to take it all. I don't know about that. Honestly, I saw Adam doing the PGL yesterday on the LEC, and he was like, are you guys kidding me? TCL is in EMEA Masters, the region that was going to Worlds, that was playing against the best players in the entire world, not just the best players in the secondary league of Europe, So I just honestly cannot wait to see how all of the teams will be able to go up against the TCL and teams that have gone to Worlds, teams that have gone to MSI and have played against the best of the best. But saying this, we have just moved into the picks and bans of Team Heretics Academy, or Los Heretics, as they're called in Spain, and Zero Tenacity.
Alrighty, well, the first ban is going to be that Sion there, taking that away from Color. Again, kind of looking a little bit towards those weak-siding top laners. Sion, someone who can just sit under tower and clear waves. They are going to remove that Vi. The Zeri is a quick follow-up as well off the back of that one. Xayah has stayed open for the moment. We'll see whether or not either team decides to go towards that. Go on.
I think that Zaya is going to be a B1 here, but the Vi insta-ban from the side of Zero Tenacity shows that you want to play possibly like an immobile champion, something like an Aphelios, something like a Jinx. Vi follows up really well onto these champions, but talking about Jinxes and Aphelios, Flakked had some of his best performances on the LEC on champions like the Aphelios, so we'll see if that bot lane is a priority right here. Rakan is also open, one of these champions that you definitely want to be picking. Not necessarily the best in lane, but he creates so much opportunity. He's going to be banned. Here's the last ban from Zero Tenacity, and I'm expecting even potentially like a Zion.
Yeah, this could definitely be a Zaya one over to Flakked. Did see the Akali get banned away from SlowQ. A bit of a target ban at him. We know this is a champion that's very much within his wheelhouse, but running down the timer a little bit before they decide what they actually want to be picking up here for the side of Heretics. And just running through some ideas. They are just going to first and blind pick that Wukong there. This does give Zero Tenacity pick of the litter, and they were prepared with an instant Maokai Jinx in response.
I really do like that because we saw the Vi. It was kind of telegraphed that it was going to be an immobility carry, whether it's Aphelios or Jinx. I think Aphelios Thresh right here. You take the Thresh away from the Jinx, taking a lot of that safety net, if you will. And also, again, Flakked had some of his best performances on the LEC with that Aphelios, so I think taking it away is a huge tool. Now, of course, SlowQ is just circling through all of his kind of champions, the LeBlanc and the Aurelia and the Ahri, but he's going to end up going with the Lissandra. We've seen a lot of Lissandra over in the East. Now that a lot of the more Kabbie-oriented junglers have come back into play, having a setup mid lane is so crucial to get that jungle to snowball.
I mean, Zwyroo was definitely taunting SlowQ a little bit with some of his picks there. As someone who's covered SlowQ for an entire season, we know that, things like LeBlanc are very much within his wheelhouse. Lissandra's just an easy counter to that. It's going to deny it entirely. So the answer in response from SlowQ is going to be the Sylas here. Already a fair few decent ultimates to steal away. You've got the Cyclone, you've got the Glacial Tomb as well. Plenty of opportunities to kind of enable and set up, but also when I think kind of 2v2 jungle mid here, this is pretty nice already with this. Obviously, I'm assuming the Maokai is going to be going in the jungle off the top of my head.
I don't like the mid jungle duo from Zero Tenacity. They lose straight up to a Wukong Lissandra duo. I think it's mostly try to protect the Jinx, get the Cyclone away, get the Lissandra ultimate away from Heretics and try to protect the Jinx. But now going into the second ban phase, I'm expecting even something like the Thresh to be banned away. I think this champion is kind of huge. He has non-committal engage, he has a lot of safety for both of these AD carries that are extremely immobile, and seeing the likes of a Lissandra and a Wukong that can very easily flank these fights, I think having something like a Thresh or Tahm Kench could be huge.
Yeah, I feel you're probably on the money there. See what the bans are going to be, though. They do take away the Rumble and the Jace, so Color actually just banning away things that could maybe harass him in lane, and already kind of revealing that Color's probably going to be looking to play that weak side. Something like a blind Ornn could get picked up here for him, and he can just kind of sit and absorb waves in the top side, be there for the team fights, and kind of buy space for Noah. On the other side, Heretics actually looking towards that support pool there with the rail ban.
So, I just looked at my cheat sheet, and there is an 85.7% win rate Nah player on the sort of Heretics, and it's no one else other than Ivo. Of course, you give a very powerful ultimate over to Sylas, so I don't know if you would go with it here. But also, you add another flanking tool onto Heretics that can then very easily get onto someone like the Jinx. Very nice pickup right here with the Thresh. We have seen a lot of Blitzcrank replies when it comes to teams picking Thresh, picking the Blitzcrank into the Thresh. It's going to be hovered right here from Flakked as well. But again, having two immobile champions in the bot lane, guys, don't get fooled. Thresh is not a tank. He's a pseudo tank. You grip him in, Thresh instantly dies, especially if you have something like the Graviton as well to sort of pin him in place with the Aphelios and the Chakrams. He goes down extremely fast. And of course, I just really like what Heretics are doing right here. There's so much frontline, there's so much engage, there's so much peel for that Aphelios, but on the other hand, so much dive potential onto the Jinx. So in whatever game the way goes, you've got the defensive, but you've also got the offensive ways.
It looks like that Tahm Kench you're talking about is being thought about here, at least from the side of Heretics. A bit more peel, a little bit more kind of just sustainability for their AD carry, and they are going to give it over to him. So this already looks like very much a game just about the AD carries. Like, The whole team are built up to enable and set up and stand in front and protect both Flakked and Noah in this game. Over to Zero Tenacity to find their final pick and their final rotation for this game. See what they decide to go for in the top side. Kind of running down the list. They are into that Cassante up there. Color, we expected him to be playing something a little bit more on the weak side, but actually going for the Olaf and going to be very aggressive. I actually don't hate this because Marlon can only gobble so much. So if he eats Flakked, Color can just run through onto the backline with his ult on. Nothing can stop him, and Flakked's just going to get zoned out of the fight.
Oh, I'm going to humbly disagree. I really don't like Olaf into the likes of Cassante. We've seen how incredibly dirty Cassante as a champion can be, especially when it comes to the 1v1s. And I just don't rate Olaf when he comes out of late being even. Because it seems like if the Olaf doesn't get ahead, then the Olaf is way too squishy, so he runs in, the gobble goes down, everyone else in the team can just beat up on Olaf, right? Because there's so much peeling again from the sort of Heretics. You want to run towards Lissandra, she has self-ult. You want to run towards the Aphelios, he has the Tahm Kench. You want to run towards the Tahm Kench, he has a double shield, so it's gonna become really difficult if that Olaf doesn't snowball. So if I was on the right side here, on the side of Zero Tenacity, I would definitely play towards that top side of the map, try to get the Olaf head. You have the Sylas as well, snowball towards that top side of the map, make this Olaf a monster, and then slowly but surely your Jinx will scale into the late game.
Well, actually, I do agree, obviously, with the top lane matchup in isolated, but I think once you get into those fights, providing, you know, Color is enabled, he's going to be such a problem for Flakked in this game that I do have concerns. And with the fact that both bot lanes have locked in, you know, relatively stable bot lanes with a lot of safety, a lot of peel, and odds are, I expect Flakked and Noah just to be farming most of this game. So I feel like the attention can be afforded to move up towards the top side. I do feel that Ryuzaki can go up there. He can set up his own ganks as well with that twisted advance onto Aibo. So Color might be able to actually not be on that weak side for once and actually be on the receiving end of quite a bit of attention from Ryuzaki, but then it's on bluerzor to read that, right? It's going to be on bluerzor to kind of figure out the game plan and look to make sure that Aibo doesn't just get camped into oblivion and can either make a cross-map play or be there prepared for that gank. But we are onto the Rift for the first game of the EMEA Masters. I am very, very excited to see how these teams are going to go down, because these are two pretty stacked teams going toe-to-toe in our first game of the day.
I'm just happy we start with these two because it's so stacked down the bot lane. Again, bot lane oriented meta. We have two carries. Flakked on his infamous Aphelios played it a lot over in G2, had one of the best performances, some of the best performances, sorry, that he's ever had onto this champion. Of course, Heretics do know that Kabbie has sneaked into the second bush due to that wound in the middle one. And honestly, I think this is going to be all about the mid lane right here. You see that Zwyroo has also gone with the Unsealed Spellbook, will be able to be swapping through the summoners. And honestly, if you get something like a cleanse later on after you've used a teleport, the ignites, the exhaust, the mid jungle duo from the side of Heretics is just so much stronger. Also, the fact that Ryuzaki and SlowQ are kind of both like facilitators in that matter. Like you see, yes, Lissandra's a facilitator in the mid lane, she can set up, but then Wukong can come in to do the damage. On the sort of SlowQ, sure, Sylas does do the damage, but is not as consistent as an AD champion like Wukong. So when it comes to the 2v2, I will definitely give it over to Heretics, and I'm expecting them to look for plays around these two.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to really kind of, I mean, pretty standard stuff almost. It's very league by the books already, where, you know, you have your mid laners who are going to be looking to kind of set up some of that early pressure for either the jungler, or the jungler will come to set them up for early pressure, and then you can kind of move that outwards. Interesting, all of the talk we had about topside with Color, and it actually looks like Ryuzaki's done a full clear on his red side, so we'll be clearing away, and this does mean that Color's going to be kind of left in this lane for a little bit of an extended time, uncontested or unhelped by his jungler. On the other side, bluerzor is clearing up. Yeah, but Ryuzaki, like you said, is coming up. They're going to load through everything down onto him, and it's just first blood for SlowQ.
Okay, a little bit of an overextension right there from Zwyroo. His jungler was clearing towards that top side, and they had no clue what Ryuzaki was going to be doing. You would think that the Maokai would possibly full clear from top to bot. There's no way, but if you don't have wards, you don't know. You know, there's crazy people like Malrang all around the Rift every day that can pull up things like this. So I really like what Ryuzaki did right there. He scouted the bot quadrant of bluerzor's jungle so that he's clearing towards that top side, ended up taking that gank level 3. Yes, he's fallen behind. Bluerzor has fully cleared his jungle currently and taken the top Scuttlecrab and could potentially run it through mid towards that bot Scuttlecrab or even continue to invade on the raids. Raptors, rather. Sorry, I'm too old for this game.
It's catching up to you. I mean, that does look like that will just be the game plan here for Ryuzaki. I mean, he's going to have to catch up on the rest of his farm. But obviously, burning that flash, not really too much of a problem with that Hex Flash available to him. So just be able to Hex Flash out of bushes. Obviously, he does have to stand still and channel it for a little bit. So there is always the worry about being spotted on some vision. But it's just going to be able to finish up his clear on his blue side. But like you said, bluerzor has moved in, taken away that chicken camp, so we'll be denying, you know, a little bit of farm, a little bit of gold over to Ryuzaki. Gonna get himself a cheeky base off while Ryuzaki is actually looking to answer out in kind here. Will spot the camp, but has been seen on a ward, so they're very much aware that Ryuzaki is doing this invade right now. And Zwyroo actually immediately rotating over because he has pressure in his lane. So Ryuzaki, he can't get anything off the back of that.
Yeah, but honestly, you're playing Maokai right here. You're more about engaging and creating opportunities for your team. So far, Ryuzaki has done pretty well. He's gotten the first gank. He didn't lose the second cow crab. Yes, he lost part of his jungle. And currently, this is where the timer is ticking. When you know that enemy jungler does not have any camps up and available, what do you tell your team? Play safe. This guy has no business on the map. He has no job on the map. So the only job he does have is trying to gank and get more kills for his team. And that was what Ryuzaki is looking for. He was looking for potentially another mid lane gank. But bluerzor will cover towards bot lane. He will move towards top side of the map.
This is scary.
Zwyroo, if he moves from mid lane, this could be very scary.
Oh, they've actually jumped onto bluerzor. Just a taxi out there. SlowQ was first to rotate over. And Ryuzaki pulls off a pretty nice invade there. A little bit delayed compared to what we saw a second ago. There's a little bit of trading on the bot side. So we're just taking a quick look. Noah is down a little bit in farm, but we'll be equalizing out that farm score. But with the pressure that's been built in both the bot and the mid lane, this is a pretty free dragon over to the side of Heretics. And Zero Tenacity, they see this going on, but there's not really any answer for them. They can't really find an opportunity to respond. So they'll happily give up this first dragon, then may look to try and contest the next one. We haven't really had a look at the top lane in a hot minute, but Color is falling behind in farm. And, you know, you had your concerns about him leaving the laning phase behind. He's already starting to slip a little bit.
Even if he leaves the laning phase he'll still be quite squishy until he has 2 items. You want your Hydra and you want your Jackshaw.
Yeah.
The more people around you, the better it is for Jackshaw to keep you alive. When it comes to jungle, though, I was about to say bluerzor, we haven't seen any action, but level 7 on Zwyroo, he has the ult.
Yeah, he's going to steal it away. He's got the ult for himself. He's going to try and freeze himself up. It's not happening in time, but he does find an answer out. The hook comes in from Kabbie. Zwyroo's pulled over, and they give the kill over to Noah. He is accelerated off the back of that one.
Yeah, well, I think this is quite worth it for Z10. Of course, one plate is going to go down, possibly a second one, because you have 3 members of the set of Heretics. But the fact that Jinx is there, so you can wave clear so quickly. And they made sure that the Jinx is the one that last hits that kill as well. Now, this might become a little bit problematic because Jinx is one of the strongest AD carries in the league currently. SlowQ right here, you see he will dash away from the E, and it took a while for Zwyroo to try and find him, but as you will see, he steals the Lissandra ult and he uses it aggressively instead of defensively. Had SlowQ used that ult defensively on himself, there were 3 members, of his team coming back, so it could have even been a 1-for-0 for that Zero Tenacity, but they'll take it. He goes towards the hyper carry down the bot lane. Noah is the one that we've heard the most praise about when it comes to Ultra League casters and community, so getting that kill very early on onto your super carry cannot be that bad.
No, not at all. We are seeing marlon and Flakked actually rotate up towards that mid lane, though. Just putting pressure down as another objective spawning up. And while, yeah, Zero Tenacity have been able to find themselves a couple of kills, Heretics are really on it on the objective game. They're denying pretty heavily a fair amount of these neutral objectives early. Rift Herald will get picked up, and we'll see where they decide to actually use that and pull it down. As Over on the other side, Marlon getting caught on that rotate. SlowQ is going to jump in forwards. The rocket goes a little bit wide, but they are going to get the damage off. And actually, Flakked comes in. He's red and white. He's able to find the kill. Beautiful. Zwyroo making his way over as Flakked is going for the double. Easy pickup.
But Zero Tenacity, you have no carries around. Noah's down the bot lane. Your Maokai is not there to pin people down. But he is there in the tribox trying to catch Marlon. Noah's approaching.
Yeah, they're going to get the lockdown. They're going to give Noah the kill as well. It's going to get sped up, but Flakked did not get caught by the twisted advance and will be a-okay. Noah just going to grab himself some plates, but this is a big cost.
This is gonna be the 200 years versus the 300 years of Jinx. Oh, they caught Flakked.
Yeah, but Flakked might have caught Ryuzaki. He's got one. He doesn't have the right guns, and Noah finds the shutdown.
Mid lane as well. Full tower plus tower platings before minute 14. That mid lane tower is so crucial. Guess what? SlowQ is a melee. He's on a melee champion. He has to overextend if he wants to push that wave out. And Zwyroo will be more than happy with that situation. SlowQ will now have no tower to fall back to. So they might even have to put that Jinx over in the mid lane with Thresh to try and keep SlowQ a little bit more safe. And as you can see on the map, SlowQ is going to start moving towards that bot side. No, they're going to choose otherwise. They're going to throw their Thresh in the mid lane. But this is becoming very dangerous. And again, this is going to be the 200 years collective experience of Aphelios versus the 300 years collective laughter from Jinx. And right here, Ryuzaki, he had the right idea, but the white gun onto the Aphelios combined with the sniper as well ended up costing Ryuzaki his life. Noah, though, gets the 3 kills, gets the shutdown as well. And now both the carries are sitting very comfortably on the first mythic, which is going to be the Kraken Slayer. Obviously, a lot of high HP bars, so huge value coming out of both of these. Now, of course, you'd look typically into something like a Gale Force when you're playing against a lot of engaged champs, but because of the safety net that Thresh and Tahm Kench can provide, Kraken Slayer is absolute stonks for both of them here.
Yeah, this is very high value right now, and it's one of those like dream AD carry games where you just feel comfortable to build the higher damage item just because you know your team have got your back. And Flakked feeling quite comfortable off the back of that one is going to be able to shove the wave in and head over. Actually, he's just going to stay there for the moment. Dragon is spawning up in 20 seconds, so attention from both of the teams will probably come down towards this point. Teleport is available for Ivo. On the other side, Color doesn't have teleport. He's got Ghost Flash, so if he wants to be here for a dragon fight, he has to reset here and run straight down towards that bot side. And you can see on the minimap, that is looking like his game plan. He wants to be over, so we might just have a full 5-on-5 immediately.
Yep, 20 seconds for the dragon, and I don't know if this is going to be the case, because if you look over at the items, the mid laner from the side of Zero Tenacity doesn't necessarily really want to be fighting. You're going towards a scaling item, which is the Rod of Ages. You've got kind of the components over there.
Trouble, look at the damage coming down already. Flakked's able to get himself one. SlowQ heavily chunked out. Not going to be able to find more as Color with the Ghost is just going to be able to walk away from this one. But Heretics, they got Dragon. They got a kill off the back of that. That was absolutely huge.
Yeah, 2 right now. Heretics, I think, have gotten every single objective on the map. They've got a mid lane tower pre-14 with every single turret plating. They've got another turret plating towards the bot lane onto Flakked. They're going to get yet another one. Z10, again, it's a little bit questionable that Olaf in the top lane hasn't necessarily resulted to anything. They're going to dive in.
Yeah, they are, but Ivo is able to dash out. Flakked takes a couple of tower shots. He has red and white, though, and the health bars on Z10 are low. The rocket goes a little bit wide there from the Jinx as Marlon is waiting back in the wings. As SlowQ looking to jump forward, misses the chain lash thanks to the flash from Zwyroo. Flakked still will be able to shove this wave in. He's got the turret as well from that white gun, so he's feeling pretty comfortable. Heretics do still have Ryuzaki in the area. It looks like the action's cooled off, but there was almost a dive there. We were very, very close to a dive going on that little bit.
They did pull off the teleport bar, so Heretics have 1 teleport up, so they do want to play towards an objective. They do want to play towards a side lane. They do have that 1 extra TP, that 1 extra man to aid on a side lane. But again, looking at both of these teams, another tower plating is going to go to the side of Heretics. 4 in the bot lane, the entire tower in the mid lane. They might even get the tower before 14 minutes, which is going to be the case because white gun onto the tower equals the tower for any tower that's facing this particular gun. But Z10 are looking for that bot lane.
Flakked's going to get himself caught, but he's far enough away to not get hit there by Noah. bluerzor jumps in forward. The claw comes out. There's going to be a knockoff with multiple members. They do find the lockdown. Flakked hasn't joined the fight, but Noah already has. He gets the zap down as Zwyroo. A lot of damage coming out from him. The Calibrum goes a little bit wide, but Flakked lands a massive Inferno ultimate. But the Jinx rocket is enough to turn the fight around. Noah is low HP. Flakked goes down thanks to the support from Kabbie giving his life. Absolutely huge fight coming in. But at the end of the day, it is going to be Heretics who take the win.
200 bloody years right there from Flakked. So freaking well played, thrusting over the wall as well for maximum DPS. And I was just about to say, I feel like this is kind of doomed for Zero Tenacity. They've fallen 4,000 gold behind. But let's talk about this a bit later because I want you to look on the right side of your screens. Noah is completely isolated from his team. What does that mean? If he walks forward, they will instantly turn onto him from the side of Heretics. So Noah has to walk all the way around. He's not dealing any damage at this point. And he doesn't have the rocket to one-shot Zwyroo, which means that Flakked gets the time to join in. No one dies. The fact that Marlon survives right there is very huge because when Flakked makes his crazy Superman play, Marlon will save him straight over the wall and they'll continue their dominance in the team fights. Now, again, when it comes to team fighting compositions and how Heretics want to play, we talked about it from the draft. They've got the offensive if they want to flank. They've got the Wukong, the Lissandra, the Cassante, but they also have the front to back because they have an Aphelios. They've got a safety net in the likes of Tahm Kench for the Aphelios. On the other hand, Z10 have fallen behind. Only 2 stacks on the Rod of the Ages, 1 item only on the Sylas. That Olaf didn't end up snowballing from lane, which means he's extremely squishy. If that Olaf gets anywhere near the Aphelios with Kraken Slayer and almost Infinity Edge in the inventory, he's just going to melt away. So if Noah doesn't go 1v9, it's a little bit difficult. And how do you go 1v9 when there's so many defensive tools from the set of Heretics to keep them alive until Flakked aces the opponent team?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to be a little bit harder for Color off the back of this. And, you know, the word talks about, you know, just seeing him pick up the likes of an Ornn or, you know, someone who can just side lane and kind of be there for the team fights. Instead, wants to go for something that can kind of run through the enemy team and actually deal with Flakked. As SlowQ right now is getting jumped onto. SlowQ is able to avoid Ibo for just a moment, but he's going a little bit low. The lockdown's there. Ibo falls. SlowQ turns that fight around as bluerzor comes in to finish him up. But overall...
And Heretics. Overall.
I'm sorry, no, I just said overall they're going to be happy with that one, but Riftail goes down, so they might be a little bit wrong on that one, as the Herald is going to be able to pick up this dragon. This dragon? Weird looking dragon.
They were able to pick up Ryuzaki in his own jungle. The jungle does not belong to Ryuzaki anymore. And even though, yes, Noah is 4-0, he has his 2 items. Again, it just feels very one-sided. I feel like the only reason right there they got 1 kill onto Ibo is because Ibo overextended, took 1 too many tower shots, ended up falling to SlowQ. But that was 2 kills again, 2-1 for Heretics. They found Marlon.
Yeah, he's going to give his life, but Flakk's actually on his own. He has no flash. He's in danger. He has no way out. Shut down by Noah. That's 2 shutdowns in a row on Flakked. Noah's been able to pick up, and that Jinx is scary now. That Jinx is getting a lot of gold injected into them.
Absolutely, and the shutdown means a lot here, especially going over to the Jinx, as you mentioned. If Z10 want to win this game, Noah has to 1v9, and we have heard that he can 1v9. Bot lane is going to fall as well. They're going to get some gold back, some team gold back for the side of Z10. But as you can see, all over 1,000 gold almost in the lead right now for the Jinx. 2 items each AD carry. But if you look at the rest of the map, that Wukong has accelerated 1.4 ahead. Almost that second item completed. Lissandra is also going to be a problem. Again, unless this game goes on over and over and over, only 5 stacks onto the Rod of Ages for SlowQ are not going to be enough to keep him alive in these small encounters. And we didn't talk a lot necessarily about the Sylas because we said, yeah, okay, he has Lissandra ult, maybe K'Sante ult, Wukong ult is pretty good, but he's another melee champion that has to go deep into the enemy backline, and there's Lissandras and Wukongs and K'Santes that are going to stop you until Flakked of that Aphelios melts you down, and especially when you're falling far behind in the likes of Olaf, in the likes of Sylas, and you're playing in very close quarters to a very fed AD carry, one wrong move and you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, Flakked with the Infinity Edge in the inventory. Hurricane on Noah, so kind of just wanted as much AoE as possible and more attack speed as well off the back of that one. It's building now towards their own Infinity Edge and are a fair chunk of the way there already. Got the BF sword, got the crit float. So Noah definitely quite scary right now. But you are just seeing the power of the Thresh. It means Noah can kind of overextend to make sure he catches as much of a wave as possible and then just gets lanterned out. As Heretics are honestly just roaming around
Color?
as a death ball. Color has to ghost to get away because he was very overextended. But SlowQ's getting free time bot side. So Heretics, while they are getting a death ball off, it feels like the comms are good enough right now for Zero Tenacity, but they know when to fall back, unless they have to use Ghost to fall back. But at the most part, they're going to be pretty comfortable.
Absolutely. The 2,000 gold lead doesn't necessarily translate too much in what the game looks like, but being one dragon away from Soul says a lot. Next fight, once you take that dragon down and you take a couple of kills, maybe on Z10, you can go straight into Baron, you can open up the map further. I think at this point, 2 items going towards the Bloodthirster for the Aphelios as well is going to be huge. Jinx is also looking potentially for the Bloodthirster or the Infinity Edge to deal even more damage to the front line of Heretics. And for now, it's just a peekaboo game. They're trying to get vision inside their own jungle for the set of Z10 because for so long, it hasn't necessarily belonged to them. And as you can see, Noah wants to be completely empty in these camps. He wants as much farm as possible. He's about 50 farm up onto Flakked. If you want to carry, you gotta take all the resources.
Yeah, I mean, Noah has honestly been very on the farming game. You know, we'll be late to things just to make sure they do grab that one wave. But that one wave starts to add up as you pick up more and more of those I'll just get one more wave. Suddenly that becomes like 3-4 more waves over the likes of Flakked here. While he's been rotating a bit faster to the fights for Noah most of the time, Noah seems to be the benefactor of this. And you can see right now the gold difference over time has somewhat peeled back. Gold's not massively far ahead. And Heretics are actually going for a Baron play here. You've got 2 people on it. Flakked's going to make his way over, but Zero Tenacity, they are so aware this is going on. They are so aware that this is going on. Are they going to try and actually stop this?
He can join whenever he wants to. Olaf doesn't have Ghost, remember that. And Z10, they're going to go for it.
Yeah, they throw down the ultimate there. Kabbie flashes forward, gets himself a lantern. The teleport's coming in. They've got to zone Noah away. He's going to try and move away for the moment as Zwyroo immediately ults himself. Doesn't want to get taken out. A lot of health bars burnt there, but nobody actually goes down. Some of the spells on both Noah and Flakked do remain as well. So not really too much burnt on either side.
Honestly, that's a little bit questionable because you're the one with the teleport. You shouldn't be forced to ban your own mid laner's teleport to get back into the fight. Heretics thought that maybe Z10 was going to overextend, but if you look at the ultimates overall, it's Z10 that come up the winners right here because they have the Sylas ult, they can create and engage. Lissandra ult is down and they're looking for it.
They are looking for a SlowQ, jumps in. Noah gets himself a dominating kill as he's trying to get a bit more damage off. He's just avoiding on the edge of the fight already. Misses the zap color, trying to stay alive, trying to hold on, but it looks like it's just going to get harder. He throws the ultimate down to try and turn it around, but Ivo jumps back in, gets the knock-off onto 2. The health bars are going low on the side of Zero Tenacity as Flakked is taking names. Noah's still alive though. He's able to sustain himself up for just a little bit longer, but he's on his lonesome. His jungler is too low. And that is going to be soul for Team Heretics.
Well, they're not even gonna try, but What a huge mistake from Zwyroo Tenacity, bunching up in such a choke point when Aphelios has Infernum on him. Doesn't even need to use the ultimate to get them all down, but let's see this again. Again, you have these, you have an ultimate onto the Sylas, you can use it to try and engage. Ryuzaki goes too far in, gets pulled out by the Thresh. Lovely stuff right there. And Noah completely dispatches off of the Tahm Kench. What does that mean? Aphelios is exposed. Remember, Aphelios doesn't have the ultimate, so they feel confident enough to walk through that choke point. But Aphelios has Infernum. Infernum does AoE damage after the first target it hits. And look at all these AoE auto attacks coming in from Flakked, absolutely demoralizing Heretics. They're back at it. They want the Baron, they'll get the Baron.
Yeah, they're going to look to try and start this one up. It's already half HP. Ryuzaki has got that Hex Flash to get in the pit if he needs to, and he may just have to channel it up. Can he get the steal? Smites a little late, but it doesn't matter. They secure the Baron, and Heretics, they've just secured a massive lead over the side of Zwyroo Tenacity, but they're trying to turn this one around. In jumps the Lissandra onto Noah on the backlines that he's going to be left alone. Meanwhile, Ryuzaki loses their life. Zwyroo jumps away. SlowQ misses the chains to try and get the lockdown on. Noah's too chunked to keep this going. And Zwyroo Tenacity, they just need to settle with their losses and move away. But Heretics with Baron in hand are going to be able to crack tier 2 in the mid, and they're going to turn their attention towards these inhibitor towers.
Honestly, Zwyroo understood the assignment completely. He just dived onto the Jinx, didn't allow him to get a single auto attack in, which means Heretics all survive. They take down the inhibitor tower. They'll go back with a Baron. They'll cash in on all the money they just made, and they'll come back even stronger to take that inhibitor in the mid lane. And I don't know if we have a replay, but my God, Zwyroo understood the assignment. We're talking so much about mid laners playing setup champions like the Swain, like the Ahri, like the Lissandra, and not necessarily understanding the assignment right there. He threw himself into literally the jaws of death to stop Noah from accessing any further into the team fight. Look at Zwyroo. He gets super low. He'll get hit by some rockets. He gets super low, but he goes back in. What does that do? It isolates Noah and Kabbie from the entire fight, making it a 4 versus 3 in favor of Team Heretics. So very well done by the middle of the Spanish org right there. Absolutely fantastic play.
It's the fact he lived as well. I think that's what's the most crazy about it, was the fact that he survived that entire engagement. And you know, sometimes the most valuable player isn't the one with the most flashy KDA. 0-3 right now for Zwyroo, but like you said, he is just an enabler. He is setting his team up for success, and the success is there right now for the side of Heretics. They are going to be able to pick up this tier 2 tower. And this is the final tower outside the base on the side of Zwyroo Tenacity. The gold lead has slipped to 7,000 gold as well between these two teams. An open inhibitor in that mid lane as well, as Zwyroo Tenacity are desperately trying to hold it. bluerzor does get himself hooked up by Kabbie, but isn't going to overextend and follow the Q in to try and get a kill onto the Wukong. But bluerzor, he's going to jump over the wall, get himself 2 spins of the Cyclone off. SlowQ heavily chunked out, but is going to be able to survive for just a little bit longer. But his inhibitor are both top and mid. They will not be living this. Zwyroo Tenacity have now lost 2 structures inside their base, and there's only 3 towers left in the game for them. This is getting really, really hard for the side of Zwyroo Tenacity to hold in this game.
And if you look towards the bottom of the map, there was another wave that was slow pushing towards their base as well. So that will be taken care of by Zwyroo. He's moving towards the bottom of the map. He's going to push in that wave and possibly back. There are 2 members of Zwyroo Tenacity looking, and Thresh is one of them. He has been spotted. There is teleport from Ibo if there needs to be an emergency saving right there. But Zwyroo is just not going to overextend. He's going to shove in that wave. He's going to potentially back. He's staying on the map, actually. Does have his ultimate up and available, potentially doesn't have enough gold on him to purchase anything significant, and they're gonna try to take the next wave that's coming through the bot lane and push it in. You see Ibo is taking care of that mid lane wave as well. Top lane wave is pushing, so really good stuff right here. Coordinated the waves from the side of Heretics to try and push in that one last base tower. It's a tower.
I mean,
in the base.
It is technically the base. You're not incorrect. Does feel like it is. Yeah, it's just going to be a matter of kind of syncing up these waves, getting that pressure on that side of the map. They obviously don't have the Baron buff anymore, so for this they will be pushing without that. But Baron is spawning up in 2 minutes. Elder Drake is spawning up in 1 minute, and Z10 we talked a lot about how strong Noah is, but Heretics have just recognized that and done everything to deny him an opportunity to fight. Maybe they can just find that desperation fight where Noah is going to be able to survive, and they're going to throw everything down there. The flashes come out. SlowQ tries to chase in forward, but Flakked isn't going to get himself caught. Ulti does go in from Noah, but it only hits onto the front line, so it's just a tickle. It's barely any damage. Meanwhile, Flakked chunking and poking them out. Noah, his damage seems to have fallen off at this point. He's not really able to do too much to these more tanky members, and Flakked has got so much survivability, and the health bars are so low on Zero Tenacity, but bluerzor can just finish this one up. He's going to throw the stopwatch down. Noah's going to get jumped onto, and Flakked is taking everybody out. The health bars are evaporated. The base is left in shambles as Heretics will take the first game of the day.
Wow. Absolutely, honestly, brilliant play from start to finish. bluerzor didn't necessarily need to do anything. His team was doing it for him. Aibo kept the Olaf down. Zwyroo was always there to set up for his team. Flakked and Marlon, what a fantastic duo down the bot lane. And again, it felt like compositional-wise, I liked what Heretics had around their AD carry more than what Zero Tenacity had around their AD carry.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel they played, they played their comp very well. I think they recognized there were mistakes. They definitely gave Noah a little bit too many kills, but it just went, right, Zwyroo, your job is just to throw your life in and deny him
We're just testing
from getting
him, man.
into those fights.
Like,
it was
how many kills can
so
we give
smart.
him for him to 1v9? You know, they were testing him.
Yeah, I also think Flakked did a great job of getting himself into that game as well, because it did look like Noah was starting to pick up quite a few kills, and then Flakked had got that rotation into the red side, picked up that double kill, then got another kill bot lane. Sure, he gave Noah a shutdown, but he'd already kind of got himself to 3 kills, had that Kraken Slayer fresh off that base, and it just felt like for the side of Team Heretics, they recognized their win conditions really, really well, and I feel the big difference between like the Thresh and the Tahm Kench in that game is Tahm Kench has that gobble, which takes Flakked off the map for a period of time where no one can really do anything to him. The Lantern's a great tool for peeling Noah backwards, but that can be interrupted. You can jump on the Thresh, and it kind of just got to the point where they realized it wasn't about finding the kill on him. It was just about zoning him out of that fight.
Yeah, and again, when you have the red side, I'm expecting the R5 to be punchy. I don't want to see no Orange, I don't want to see no Science in R5, and I don't want to see no Olafs that can't snowball. Again, right here, SlowQ, he ulted Zwyroo instead of ulting himself. Again, there was a lot of backup coming from the sort of Zero Tenacity. So could he have survived a few seconds longer? Could have changed the deal. Flakked here gets caught, takes one in return. It felt like every time Z10 were trying to make a move on the map, Heretics were doing it much better. Again here, Noah isolated on the side, not joining together with his team, which means that Ryuzaki throwing up the ultimate didn't necessarily mean much. Then they just bunch up onto another choke point, and look at the guns that Aphelios has. He has the Infernum right here. So the second that the Moonlight Vigil goes out with the Infernum, it's just absolutely beautiful to watch. He goes for the 200 years play right here, and Marlon gobbles him up right before that last auto attack from Jinx was about to kill him.
Yeah, they honestly played that fight by inches, and it was so beautiful to watch. And again, you were completely right about the Olaf. I felt like Olaf was a really big shot there for the side of Zero Tenacity because he could get onto Flakked, but the problem is he wasn't so fed that he was able to just completely draw attention, and his team were kind of getting slammed in those fights. I mean, in this replay, you see they've already lost a member before he got into the space where he could find the kill. And Noah, again, he's doing the most damage to a clone, to the Wukong clone. Like, he is struggling in this game to kind of find his opening.
Honestly, Zwyroo, such a huge MVP for this fight. If you see how low the health bars were of Aibo and bluerzor, had Noah been able to free hit this fight, it could have ended up so freaking differently than it did. But the fact that Lissandra stops any engage towards the front side from Noah, from the Jinx, it just meant that Noah doesn't get to do damage, so it doesn't matter if he's fed or not. And honestly, huge props to Heretics. They're coming in from last year as the reigning champions with an entirely new bot lane. Of course, You can't say that Flakked is someone who's new to the scene. He's played for he's played for G2. His Aphelios has always been fantastic, and he shows it another time here why the 200 years of collective experience on the champion and on him have these results.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, obviously we're giving a lot of praise over to Noah during that game, but on the side of Heretics, you know, they are the reigning champions of this tournament. You know, Flakked has shown us time and time again in both, you know, the LEC level, but also in the kind of regional level that he is, you know, a solid AD carry, and his team played around him really, really well. I also kind of want to give a big shout out to Marlon because, you know, we did raise some questions before the game, mostly me, saying, you know, there were problems, and we'd heard from, you know, from people over in LVP that, you know, he was kind of seemingly the weak link of the team. He did not look
gobbled
like
really
the weak
well.
link here. Yep. I mean, yeah, he played Tahm Kench. It's not like he's playing the most mechanical AD carry, support, but he did really he always made sure that Flakked was never in a space to get himself caught out. You know, he was denying him really, really hard. So, he was denying Noah from ever getting onto Flakked. He played super, super well. But anyway, we do have more games to go. They've still got 6 games over the day. So we're going to throw ourselves to a quick break, and then we're back with our second game of the day. So we'll see you in a moment.